So this is a short addendum to the lecture that we had on 28th of October 2020 to talk about carbenes, Fischer carbenes primarily, and carbines and carbides. I did not cover carbides at all, so I want to show you the relationship between these species in this particular presentation. This is just to give you the background of the carbine and the carbide uh, lectures that are going to follow. And what we mentioned in the previous lecture was that isocyanides are converted into heteroatom substituted carbenes, not heterocyclic carbenes, but they are very similar in their electronic nature. And also we noted that carbon monoxide can be converted into a Fischer carbene by a simple nucleophilic substitution reaction. So we then talked about how carbenes are often converted into carbines. So that's where we currently stand, and we will now proceed with the carbines. So here is a initial reaction that led to the formation of a carbine, whereas they had originally intended to make a substituted carbene. They had intended a reaction between X minus and this species in order to generate a carbene like so, but instead what they obtained was a carbine, and you will notice that this resulted from the attack of the OCH3 on the BX3 unit, leading to an anionic species BX3OCH3 minus. This BX3OCH3 minus and the cationic species that would have been an intermediate reacted together and formed the final complex, which is shown in this red box. This turns out to be an 18 electron species, and the BX2OCH3 would be the other species which would have been isolated. You will note that very mild reagent like a Wittig reagent, which is here, it can be written as CH2 minus PPS3 plus. The way in which you have a double bond can be written in another form, CH2 minus and PPS3 plus. So it will abstract a proton. If it does, then CH3 PPS3 plus methyl triphenyl phosphonium salt is formed with a negatively charged species which eliminates Cl minus. The tantalum complex is a negatively charged species after it has undergone this hydrogen abstraction. Then it will eliminate Cl minus, and that compound is in fact pictured here. It has got a tantalum carbon triple bond. How do we know that? It is primarily by looking at the bond distance. Primarily, it is by looking at the bond distances, and the distance is 1.85 angstroms in this case. It was a very short distance between the tantalum and the carbon, much shorter than what you would expect for a double bond. Now I come to another instance where a similar tantalum complex was reduced using sodium in mercury. It's a fairly strong reducing agent, which has resulted in the formation of a species which has undergone a hydrogen migration from the carbon to the tantalum, and you have a carbine complex again. These are unexpected reactions. These are not so obvious. They might have just tried to make a tantalum one species in the presence of DNPE to have a substitution reaction, but They obtained a carbene hydride species instead. If you do the neutral method of counting, you obtain the right electron count for the species. Now I come to one more example of a carbene. I did not explain this significant properly, so I would like to explain it now. Basically, this reaction is a fairly complex reaction. The first step is a substitution reaction, where you have substituted Cl minus with Ar minus. And so you have a aryl chlorocarbene, ArCCl is the carbene which is formed here, and that's an intermediate that you would have, which can react with aryl lithium. This time, instead of undergoing a second substitution, strangely enough, it has undergone a reduction reaction. Aryl lithiums, or any alkyl lithiums for that matter, can behave as a reducing agent. And the way it behaves as a reducing agent can be pictured by the way in which it is in equilibrium with Ar dot Li dot. Ar dot and Li dot are both reducing agents. And so in this reaction, I have written it in such a way, this slide I have written it in such a way that the Ar is close to Cl and Li is so close to Cl, just to tell you that in fact this species, uh, these two species will go off as a lithium chloride, and this two species goes off as ArCl. And so you end up with a carbene species. They mention in the paper that the best yield was obtained when two equivalents of ArLi were utilized. And this was the only species they could achieve. I want to tell you a little bit about the chemistry of this carbene. It gets oxidized again. It gets oxidized again if you treat it with something like chlorine, Cl2, and you end up with the species which I mentioned to you in the previous slide as the final product. Interestingly, this carbene complex is also converted into a CS or a thiocarbonyl or a selenocarbonyl complex if you treat it with HSE minus or HS minus, sodium NaSH or NaSe, you end up with this beautiful complex where you have CSE now as a ligand. Remember, I told you that it is difficult to generate CS and CSE. You need roundabout ways to generate them. And here is one roundabout way, but it seems to give good yields of CS and CSE bonded to the osmium. So we have looked at several compounds where the metal is bonded to the carbon, and we have systematically varied the bond order from 1 to 2 to 3. And obviously, chemists would like to have the carbon itself as a ligand, as a curiosity, or maybe for exploring the reactivity of carbon coordinated to the metal. Is it possible? Answer seems to be yes. There are several different ways in which carbon has been bound to the metal. And here is one instance which I have shown for you, which is probably a species which is best described as a carbenic carbon. The way in which it has been generated is as follows. Initially, carbene complex has been treated with a methylene cyclopropane. This is a methylene cyclopropane, and when it undergoes a metathesis reaction, it would end up with the species which I am circling in this fashion. So this is the species which you would get if you were to react these two species together. So reaction of these two species would give you this species, and subsequently a retrocycloreversion reaction, which can be imagined as the reverse of a carbene adding on to an olefin. So this is a retro cyclization reaction, which has led to the formation of a carbene compound. This is the carbene compound that has resulted, starting with the cyclo rutheno methylene cyclopropane, rutheno-methylene ethylene cyclopropane. So this is basically ruthenium substituted ethylene, which is attached to a cyclopropane system. So this species is now has been crystallographically characterized, and here it is. This is the crystallographically characterized carbenic system. What you have here is a RUC double bond, C carbene. It is a carbenic species which is attached to the ruthenium. If the ruthenium gives electron density onto the carbon, then you will end up um, with a formal pseudo triple bond. That is, you have a Ru double bond C, in which there is a back donation from the ruthenium to the carbon. So that's why they have mentioned it as RuC with a triple bond. Okay. Now, uh, here is another example where you have started with a thiocarbonyl complex and reduced it with a borohydride, and you end up with an allynic carbon. In this particular complex, you have a carbon which is bound to two rhodium atoms. Both rhodium atoms are bonded to the carbon through a double bond. So you have Ru, RH double bond C1 and C1 double bond RH. Okay, so you have a double bond on either side. Let me write that a little better. So here you have a double bond also. Okay, so you have a double bond on both sides. So carbon's valencies are satisfied in this case. Crystallographically, another complex has been synthesized in which the carbon now has got a triple bond on one side and a single bond on the other side. So this is a tungsten triple bonded carbon. This is tungsten triple bonded carbon. From the bond distances you can see, and a single bond to the ruthenium. This is a more straightforward reaction that has been performed in this case, and I just want to show you these complexes to indicate that you can have carbon bound to the metal in a variety of ways, and all these possibilities have been realized. So we have looked at several compounds where the metal is bonded to carbon, and we have seen carbene complexes where the bond order is 2, carbene complexes where the bond order is 3, and also some instances where only carbon functions as the ligand, but it is still the carbenic system or a carbonic system that is present in the species. Is it possible to have a quadruple bond to the metal? That remains to be seen. So let us end by going back to the initial map of ligands. We now have to discuss the type of carbenes which are really unique because they have two heterocyclic hetero substituents in a cyclic fashion. So these are n-heterocyclic carbenes which need to be discussed. We have discussed carbynes, we have discussed simple carbenes, we have also discussed derivatives of CO and CN. So uh, let us summarize now the key points that we have learnt through this. First of all, we learned that there are multiple bonds between carbon and metal, and this can range from 1 to 2 to 3, and maybe even 4. We have also looked at the bonding model as a synergistic model or based on the DCD type of interactions. There's a give and take of electron density between the carbon and the metal. If the ligand is stable in the free state, as in the case of CO, you have a lot of chemistry that emerges from the system. But if there is only a CS, which is not a stable entity, then you have much less chemistry that is developed. This turns out to be a function of availability, feasibility, and even the comfort level of the scientist. With this, we will end